Hello, everyone. We'll go ahead and get started. Welcome to the TLGS 2022 conference. My name is Mo Chakraborty from Salisbury University. I will be collecting questions in the chat for this session, which is titled Transitioning to a Master's Degree Granting University, Implications for Librarian Instruction, Outreach, and Collection Development. The presenters, take it away.
Hello, everyone. My name is Laken Smith, and I am the University Archivist and an Assistant Librarian here at CARES Library at Athens State University in Athens, Alabama. So alongside me are Mary Aquila and Jennifer Wolfe. They're both Associate Librarians here at CARES Library. So our presentation is about transitioning to a master's degree granting university and the implications that can come for library instruction, outreach, and collection development. To tell you a little bit about our university, Athens State University is the oldest institution of higher education in Alabama, and we've seen a lot of changes. We actually launched 2 graduate programs in 1966 and 67, one in teaching and one in business administration. However, that endeavor only lasted about 3 years. So the Southern Association of Colleges and Schools found that our library inadequately prepared to serve grad students. And because we had not yet desegregated, we lacked the funding to improve our small library. So while both of these would be resolved in 1969, our graduate program lay completely dormant until about 2016. And by then our school had changed more. We went from a 4-year college to what we are now, which is an upper division level university for juniors, seniors, and grad students. Since 2016, our demographics have pretty much stayed the same. Our students are usually non-traditional, first-generation students. Majority of them are part-time. However, the number of our programs, our graduate programs, has grown steadily over the years, with at least one program being added every year. We're now up to 5 graduate programs, and we expect another 5 programs in the very near future. So the 3 major areas that we chose to focus on are collection development, instruction, and support, instructional support and outreach, sorry. So focusing on these 3 aspects readily reflects how these transitions change the identity of the university, but it also shows how they trickle down into the everyday duties of academic librarians. So the questions that you see are ones that are always in the forefront of our minds. How to be effective in an environment, a virtual environment, how to adjust our approach to collection development, and how to collaborate with teachers and students in an increasingly online space are just a few of the topics that we wanted to discuss today. So now that I've kind of painted a picture of our situation and our university, I want to turn it over to Mary Aquila for collection development.
Thank you, Laken. As Laken said, we will discuss how we've adjusted collection development for offering graduate programs. So today I'm going to talk about 3 areas. I'm going to talk about the committee work we're involved in as faculty librarians here, the collection assessments we do for any new programs. And in 2020, we did 4 collection assessments for graduate programs, and how we've adjusted our book budget allotments and allocations for graduate programs. Okay, so on the screen, you see 4 committees. In general, we try to work as much and as closely and as possible with faculty to build collections. Since they're experts in the field, we really value their input. So we want their input not just on purchase suggestions, but also their input on the collections we build as liaisons, as subject liaisons. From speaking with colleagues at other institutions, we are in a very unique position here. We are involved in every, if not almost every committee on campus. We are involved, of course, in the faculty standing Senate committees, but also university-wide committees. For example, right now, I believe we're on the Budget Advisory Group, the Strategic Planning Group, the QEP, Learning Management Software Group, and more. So to give you a little bit about the backstory of our committee work and our faculty librarian collaboration, all this committee work wasn't always the case. Prior to 2014, librarians only had spots on 2 faculty senate standing committees, the Learning Resource Committee and the Curriculum Committee. In total then, and in total now, there were 5 standing committees. So back then we only had seats on 2. After 2014, we were giving voting membership on all the faculty senate standing committees. And since then, we have been asked more and more to serve on university-wide committees. The advantages to serving on all these committees are many. We have a voice in curricular issues, new programs, policies, but we also have many avenues to build relationships with faculty. So for collection development, it's really very helpful. So from the beginning, as Laken said, our first graduate program was launched in 2016. And from the very beginning, we were asked to be involved. The first committee you see on this screen is the graduate implementation team. That team consisted of faculty and staff and administrators. The team convened in spring 2015 and met every month, sometimes every 2 weeks until spring 2016, when the SACS visit, the Southeastern Association of Colleges and Schools, came to approve the program. So I was actually the library representative on that team. And as part of that team, I was also the team lead for the academic support sections of updating for the SACS documentation. So we had a lot of say in the documentation about library staff, faculty, and we included sections on the collections. So currently there are 2 committees we work on that discuss graduate curriculum and policies. The next 2 you see, the Graduate Education Council, the GEC, and the new program support team. The Graduate Education Council was created to serve as an advisory group to the provost, the vice president for academic affairs, and was charged with reviewing proposals and policies and trying to develop more procedures moving forward for the graduate programs. More recently, this past September, the new program support team was created. There was a need to kind of follow the programs from the beginning until it was rolled out in the catalog and marketing. So we also have a spot on that team. And I'm the representative this year on those 2 also. Very, very recently, and actually it's forthcoming, the last committee I'll talk about is the Graduate Curriculum Committee. Currently, we have an undergraduate curriculum committee. We saw the need to create a graduate one because currently the GEC is talking about all the curricular policies regarding graduate programs, and faculty wanted to have the decision-making power more, not decision-making power, but the discussions more just with the faculty. So there's a new committee coming under the Senate, and it's the Graduate Curriculum Committee. So in the next few slides, I'm going to talk about the collection assessments that we've done and also the budget allocation. Okay, so here is our basic collection assessment outline. In the next slide, I'll show you a specific one we did this past year for the Master of Accountancy. So for every program, undergrad and graduate, we follow this collection assessment outline. We have a section on current holdings and a section on additional collection needs. What usually happens with this, faculty reach out to us to do a collection assessment for new programs. When they submit the new program to the GEC, or the Future Graduate Curriculum Committee, they have to include a curriculum request form. And on that form, there's a section about adequate library support. So they'd like to consult with us before they check the box off. They also have to submit a program proposal to AIC, the Alabama Commission on Higher Education, for approval. And there's a section there about library support too. So they consult us and ask us to do a collection assessment for both the curriculum review request and the AIC documentation. Okay. So again, here's the basic outline we use. We have a section on current holdings, and in that section, we include 4 charts, one on monographs, one on databases, and the articles total articles held in those databases, the journal titles we have for a particular subject matter, and any borrowing agreements with other libraries, any information about reciprocal libraries. And we at this university are a member of NAIL, which is the Network of Alabama Academic Libraries. The next section is additional collection needs, and here's where we include a chart on our monographic budget, and I'll show you some examples of that, and any possible journal or ebook collections that we may want to add for this program to our collection. Okay, so here's the example that we actually included in our collection assessment this past year for the Master of Accountancy. I just took two small sections out. For our monographic holdings, we have 4 columns. We have the Library of Congress subject headings that are associated with accounting here, but any subject matter. And sometimes, of course, as you know, the list may be very long, which is fine. The total number of books, and then the number of ebooks and print books. And we include the number of books that were published in this subject matter in the last 10 years. We may change that a little bit depending on the program and the discipline. The next chart, we include 2 charts on database holdings, usually 2 charts here. I just showed you Business Source Premier, but we could also do, ProQuest Central. We have some other business databases, operations, logistics, and quality, just anything that goes with the subject matter. And very similar to the monographic holding chart, we include the subject headings that database uses to index the articles, the number of full-text articles in total, scholarly and trade, then the number of peer-reviewed full-text journal articles, then the number of peer-reviewed full-text journal articles, it's a mouthful, published in the last 10 years. And we would, like I said, supply 2 charts and maybe even 3 charts, depending on the discipline. Not shown is the final chart that includes the journal titles. So we would have all the list of our journal titles, the database that holds those journals, and the date ranges provided by a journal. The database. On the next 2 slides, I'll go over our book budget allocations and how we've adjusted it for the graduate programs. Okay, so here's the information from our fiscal year 21 book budget allocation. And this is just the general information. I haven't mentioned this yet, but I would like to give credit to our former collection development librarian. She left this past June, and she worked on the book budget allocation and made the collection assessment outline. And we currently are using it, but we referenced her in our references because she spent a lot of time on this. Okay, so again, what we do when we determine the book budget allocation, the first thing we do is we figure out the average price per book. And what we do is we consult with our primary book vendors, both print and ebooks, and we look at the books we've purchased for the last 2 years, and we take an average of them and we include that. So then we have the average price per book. Next, we determine which program level the new program falls under. We have 4 programs, we have 4 levels: certificate, minor, major, and graduate. The numbers you see here on the screen, we came to these numbers. We've kind of played around with the ideal number to assign to each program level. We started out with a baseline, and then over trial and error, a couple of years, we came up with these numbers that you see on the screen. And of course, they're the numbers we felt would be equitable. We wanted to be equitable across the disciplines, but with these are also the numbers we came up that our budget would allow with whatever new budget we got each year. So we have 2 exceptions to the program level allotment, and we consider this when we're figuring out the book budget. If it's a new program, we level a lot up 3 books. If it's covered by O'Reilly Higher Education, which I don't know if you guys are familiar with O'Reilly Higher Education, it's a large database, and they continuously update them of business books. We got them mainly for the business programs and computer science, but they have a lot of business ebooks, computer science ebooks, and IT related ebooks. So if the discipline is covered by O'Reilly, we lot it down. Okay. So here's our example. This is what we included in our collection assessment for the Master of Accountancy. So this went along with the other 2 charts you saw a few slides ago. So again, when we determined this, we looked at the average book price. We determined that the average book price for accounting was $183. Then we included the 3 levels. We just include in undergraduate level just to have the chart so they would understand how much we would spend at the undergraduate level. And for the graduate program, as we saw on the last slide, the allotment would be 12 books, and accounting falls under 2 exceptions. It's covered by O'Reilly, so we divide it by 6, and then it's a new program, so the first year we just allot up. So that's how we got our chart. Again, this was all divided by 2 for O'Reilly. So for graduate level, we start out with 6, but we added 3 for the first year, so it'll be 9 years, and then all subsequent years, it would be 6 years. And of course, the average price, we do re-examine that every couple of years because prices, of course, go up. So that is how we, approach collection development for our graduate programs. It's evolving, and we're always kind of consulting each other. And we hope our new librarian coming in will add something to the mix. So Jennifer or Laken, can you think of anything I may have missed? No. Okay, so Jennifer will now talk about the instructional support that we have provided for our graduate programs.
Sure. Hello, my name is Jennifer Wolfe, and I'm an associate librarian here at Karis Library at Athens State University here in Athens, Alabama. I've been here for 19 years now, so it's been a minute or two, and currently I serve in tech services with cataloging, systems, and temporarily acquisitions and collection development, as well as in public services as a reference librarian and the liaison to the College of Education and the English department. And in a former life, I was a middle school and high school English teacher. You've already met my fabulous colleagues, Laken and Mary, and together we're currently the embedded team for the graduate programs, as well as many other duties. Here on this slide, you'll see some launch dates, but before we get to the spring of 2016 with our pilot of the graduate embedded program for the College of Business, I want to back up just a little bit. Our electronically embedded librarian program was born at Athens State University back in 2007, and it started with just 3 faculty librarians and 11 classes. Undergraduate only at that time. As current as 2021, we had only 4 librarians and 376 courses, undergrad and graduate. So you can definitely see that our embedded librarian program has blown up and grown astronomically. With our undergraduate program, it's all voluntary. And it's absolutely at the professor's request only. We do send out emails tailored to each of the 3 colleges every semester to let them know how it works, what is offered, and the tiers of service available. But today we're going to focus on what is different for the graduate embedded program here at Karis Library. Also, we're going to examine graduate data only, so let's take a look. Here you can see College of Business was our first launch with Mary in the spring of 2016. And that year we had just 7 graduate courses. And it's again just grown from there. The College of Arts and Sciences joined in summer of 2017. And interestingly enough, I was their embedded librarian for that first pilot semester for our religion graduate program. But you can see I quickly got pulled back to College of Ed that very next semester for their launch of the Career Tech program back in fall 2017. We do have a robust embedded librarian program here for the graduate courses, but here's why some of that occurs. We have subject liaisons designated so they know who to ask. And we attend all of their college meetings. So for example, when College of Education has their meetings, I'm also included. It lets them know I care, and it also lets me discover what their focus and plans are so that I can keep seeing those through a library lens. Undergrad is faculty request. Graduate is not, however, because it's done automatically. That was at the request of a former administrator in the provost's office. However, we've had a welcoming experience and are treated like one of the gang, so it's been fairly seamless. Our graduate programs also automatically get a LibGuide as well. Undergrad is by request. Some majors have them, some courses have them, but all grad programs get them straight out of the gate. Blackboard is our current learning management system. So for example, from our launch date of 2007 to 2021, we used to do a discussion board that was called Ask Your Librarian. However, we piloted first with COB, our College of Business, an embedded Librarian Blackboard button and page instead in 2021. And it has really worked better for several reasons. What we had going on with the discussion boards was a lot of time, as well as some professors rolling old courses and not actually embedding us as a TA in the Blackboard LMS. So there would be these discussion boards hanging out there and not being answered because we weren't truly embedded and not subscribed to receive those threads in our email inbox. So our Blackboard button is now right there on the course navigation on the left as soon as you log into any graduate or undergraduate course that's requested it. And if a professor should now copy and paste enroll an old course and not actually embed us properly, then the button will still get them to Karis Library instead of an unanswered Ask Your Librarian discussion board thread. So definitely an upgrade idea there. I want to thank Mary for that. I think another thing that's really helped us and our faculty be so supportive is that our librarians are also classed with faculty status. In the past, we were housed and supervised by the Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences. However, we were moved under the Associate Provost and now the Provost. So having our library directors peer group be the deans of our 3 colleges and a direct report to the Provost, I think also helps us be seen as a part of our teaching faculty's conversation and support. I, however, do have one suggestion as a lesson learned the hard way. And that suggestion is we're trying to have a more uniform and coordinated program. Undergrad was kind of, all over the place because it was at the professor's request and what they wanted or not. But with our grad programs, we're trying to be more equal with all of the colleges. And also the thing that could have absolutely been done better was to think through the assessment before and not after it gets rolling. So assessment plans need to be done before and not after. In the past, we had some assessment help with our Learning Resources Committee, which is a standing faculty committee. And we used to do assessment rolls every 3 years. So it would be in-house survey, LibQual survey, and then focus group surveys. So that was a way that we had done that in the past. And on our next slide, we'll take a look at the actual data for the graduate program embedded. So here in 2016, you can see that 7 is Mary and a former colleague of ours splitting the College of Business. And next in 2017, it does take a big leap because what you have is College of Business and joined by Arts and Sciences that summer, and then joined by College of Ed that fall. So 2017 is all 3 colleges rolling out in a staggered way. 18 and forward is a mix of all 3 for each semester. And going from 7 to 118 is a huge leap when you consider currently that's all split between 3 librarians that aren't just strictly dedicated to this task. Again, this is graduate only and not our whole embedded program stats. We just pulled out graduate for today. And just to kind of show you how much our biggest enrolled college is gaining, we've pulled out College of Business in comparison with the whole grad stats. So College of Business is here in green. So for 2016, you can see there's a 7 for 7 because that was all College of Business. In 2017, College of Business was half, but that was during our staggered rollout. And then 2018 was the first year we had all 3. going full blast. And then fall 19 and forward, Mary was our lone College of Business embedded librarian for graduate. So all of those COB stats for 2020 and 2021 are just Mary. And you can see it's blown up astronomically. Part of that is because currently Arts and Sciences and Education each have one grad program, but College of Business has more, so they are definitely pulling away for the moment. Our university does plan to launch additional programs in all three colleges, so these numbers are just projected to continue to skyrocket for our graduate embedded librarian program. All right, on this slide, before we move to graduate instructional support, this last slide, I just want to give a little history about support undergraduate to kind of show you where we were coming from. From 1977 to 2020, we did teach undergraduate 4-credit courses in information literacy. We did have a 1-hour course. We had HE 321 for Arts and Sciences, GBA 300 for College of Business, and ED 313 for College of Ed. Since librarians do have faculty status here, and we used to have that small teaching load in addition to our other library duties, we were also trained alongside all of our other teaching faculty in such matters like quality matters, and with ACU, the Association of College and University Educators, with active learning techniques. We have tried to incorporate some of those skills into our online library instruction. With the micro lecture technique, we're currently moving to make all of our YouTube videos shorter, following those principles, as well as Mary has piloted having a short welcome video in all of her College of Business embedded grad courses that's well under 2 minutes long, so that they can actually kind of meet her online. And we'll typically try something in College of Business and then take a look at it, and then we'll launch it into the other colleges' embedded grad instances as well. Again, we've absolutely moved away from our discussion board model, but we're now using that Blackboard button on the main screen, which will hopefully be another assessment data point as well, so we can see the actual clicks and interaction with those library resources. Here in Karis Library, we're definitely interested in promoting inclusivity and accessibility. With ADA, we do have an eye to the available products offered through our current vendors, such as SpringShare and Blackboard. We also work very hard, for example, on our closed captioning and making all of our online items to be ADA compliant from the start. Asynchronous help is available to our grad students through our SpringShare products FAQ that we've populated with specifics to our programs and library resources, and also our YouTube channel, incorporating those techniques that we've learned along with best practices for online courses as well. And I also want to draw your attention to our campus's Safe Zone program. Real quick, I'll just show you, we have our Safe Zone program. This is our program manual. And if you go through the training, you do get a manual, and it includes things like flags, vocabulary. It's kind of 101 information for everybody to share. And so our Safe Zone Athens program is designed to provide a visible network of support to sexual and gender minority students. Members of our Safe Zone Athens are allies who've been trained on the issues and terminology affecting LGBT+ community and are prepared to offer a safe and non-judgmental environment for students who need assistance. Our allies are trained to listen and offer support, but they may also help connect students with campus and local resources, such as the university counselor and our Title IX coordinators. The Safe Zone symbols found around campus identify allies who are trained to provide a safe place and to assist our students. And really, we just feel like our Safe Zone program is a great fit with local and national library resources such as Stonewall Book Awards and other amazing resources like the works of Dr. Jamie Campbell Nadeau. Really, you can go through the training and then bow out and just keep that information with you, or you can go through the training and be a designated campus ally. And what that involves is two things. So number one, you get a little placard that you can put in your cubicle or your office. So it's a visual. You also get what you see on the screen right there, which came out of the email. So currently, we do have a number of faculty, staff in our Karis library that have gone through this training and can now add the symbol you see on the screen, which is a rainbow-colored Hebrew the bear, Hebrew being our university's mascot, now decked out with pride in our office or cubicle and also on our email signature. So if you do get an email from me, it will also have our Technicolor rainbow Hebrew the bear. We try to be visible allies digitally, in person, in the curriculum, and Karis library materials as well. And I certainly do hope that I am seen as a friend and an ally to underserved populations such as LGBTQ, as well as autism and others. I do have one tip and takeaway that came from the literature over and over as we were all preparing for this presentation, and that tip is don't assume graduate students are prepared to do graduate research. Keep pushing those information literacy skills for students and faculty. And at this point, I just want to ask Laken or Mary, do you all have anything to add about instruction support section before we move forward?
No, but I would just reiterate what Jennifer said about in much of the literature, and I made this mistake too. Really, we assume graduate students know a lot more than they do. So we've really tried to, that's one reason we've really built up our FAQ for especially since all our graduate students are online, it's, for when we're not in the building and after hours, they can get help. But we're really trying to beef up all that because we find that they just need help with simple searching sometimes. So that is really pretty dominant in the literature. So that's it.
Thank you. And now I want to pass the torch for outreach as presented by my colleague, Laken Smith.
Our final aspect is outreach. So collection development, instruction, and all the other aspects that Jennifer and Mary talked about are in themselves pieces of our outreach plan. So our collaborations with graduate faculty and students always begins with us kind of establishing our presence, whether that's virtually or physically. That includes, Jennifer mentioned, sending out emails to each of our professors and just making sure that they know we can support them in instruction. We also alert them to, or remind them in some cases, of the resources that we already created, such as the LibGuides and video tutorials. But we also want them to kind of see us as an entity that can help fill in any information gaps if they arise. So Jennifer, she also mentioned our presence on Blackboard. Each embedded course has a prominent Ask Your Librarian module, and that really makes it easy for grad students and other students to locate us without having to navigate back to CARE's website. And it gives them an easy jumping off point for their research because we've linked each of the LibGuides into the pertinent classes. So you can also, one thing that I've learned is you can really also reach graduate professors and students while performing other librarian and faculty duties. So Mary talks about the committees and the groups, and I'm sure we've all been on a committee or two or three or four. And while that in itself is a little bit overwhelming, they are also awesome opportunities to connect with a wide range of professors. Mary, she did a presentation on library support and resources at our first year faculty orientation. and that's something that I'm in. This was attended by faculty, HR representatives, administrators, and other campus entities like the Writing Center and the Career Services. And so, those are all entities that otherwise may not ever speak to the librarians on campus or may not ever see us. So her just coming to that meeting was really important in touching bases with those places. And me as new faculty, being in that first year faculty, now the faculty, which a lot of them are graduate professors, they have an easy kind of access to me, and they feel really comfortable talking to me and kind of telling me what they would like to see. I know they want to see an open house in the library so that they can really learn about our resources. And they've even reached out for specific tutorial videos for their disciplines. So the last thing we want to talk about is going forward. Okay, so looking forward, we do need to have a clear understanding of what grad students think about us as librarians and also the library in general. So the literature that I've been referencing says that oftentimes students just kind of see the library as a space that they can study in. They don't really consider us as, being resources all the time. They consider librarians as being kind of a physical fixture in a physical building. They also don't really think that we can help them with their specific disciplines if they ask us questions. So there's a lot of just anxiety and information anxiety and just a lot of not really being able to relate to one another. So for us, moving forward to kind of fix those things, we would like to personalize the library experience, which to me kind of makes it make it mean something to them, which we've started that with our introductions into our embedded courses. I mean, it can be live or it can be physical because it really just makes you more approachable and relatable. I know Mary and Jennifer have both done like one-shots in classes. I haven't done them because I haven't been faculty for as long, but just having that person and knowing a little bit more about that person can make you more approachable. So also make your virtual spaces really welcoming to graduate students. We make the LibGuides specifically for the master's program, and they're labeled for this master's students. So the students can go and find their specific classes and know that that's a space for them. Also, diversify your holdings, your materials, and your resources so that students are able to see themselves in the tools that you use and the collections. One other piece of literature that I read about underrepresented students, they can still feel especially isolated from the library. They really don't feel like the librarians are able to offer them help about their interest. And they don't really see that in the classroom a lot of times. So they figure, if they don't see it in the classroom, what's the point of going to the library or to the librarian? And they kind of assume that we already don't know what they want to research. So one way to approach this is by diversifying your collection and being really, really intentional and using scholarships from whether it's scholars of color or just all of the intersections, just going the extra mile and being intentional about using those resources on LibGuides and other places where it can be very prominent. Assessment-wise, and Jennifer spoke to this a little bit, our main piece of advice is as far as transitioning to a master's, to more graduate services, is to assess your library and create a plan for yourself. So it's really important to assess the students and know their needs, but it's also very, very important for you to be in a place where you can serve the students, where you have the resources that you need to actually give them what they need and serve them. And another aspect is the graduate student research workshops. And we'd like to undertake a lot more of those, and they would be based on the ACRL research library of the Framework for Information Literacy of Higher Education. So this would also help students, help us become more connected with students. In the literature that I read, it turns out that like graduate students are more interested in career information more so than data information or data gathering. They're really thinking about what comes after grad school, what comes next. But both of these are possible with this framework. So workshops that can help grad students see information as a commodity that they have a stake in are very important. So you really want to talk about the information and talk about in a way that they realize that it's a transaction. Also, being involved in the scholarly conversations and kind of knowing where all of these scholarly materials are coming from, why they're coming from the places that they are coming from, and also searching as strategic exploration. All of these things just help graduate students and students in general really learn that their intellectual creations have value. And as our course offerings change and we get these new programs and technology changes, they're going to need to know more about thinking critically about how to find information about privacy, about access, about who has access, about why they have access, just all of these really different aspects that they may not otherwise think of, but that they really should be thinking of when looking for information of any kind. One thing that we are currently working on is the experiential learning projects, and that's actually a part of our QEP program. So I'm going to let Mary talk about that because she's directly involved with the QEP, and she can tell you a little bit about how that's fun.
Yeah, that's our current experiential learning is our current, like Laken said, our current QEP. And I know that in graduate programs, and I read a lot about this in the literature in some of the books. One of the books we have on our reference list listed it by discipline, like business, STEM classes. It was really interesting about how to get involved in any EL projects that may be taking place in the graduate programs. And this would be good, like in business, if the students do internships, just to be kind of at the point of need from whatever step they are in their project. So that's something we have in the back of our mind. We haven't done that yet. Like we only have 3 people, like a bunch of, I'm sure you all realize everyone's short staffed. So we're a lot of our look to the future after we get some more people list. But so that is something we're looking to. I wanted to add one thing about assessment. As you saw on the slides Jennifer went over, we have a lot of qualitative assessment. I'm sorry, not qualitative, quantitative in terms of the number of classes. We also figure out for our assessment reports how many students we serve each semester via the embedded program. We were trying to think of other ways to assess some of the content we include in Blackboard in our learning management software. I had met with IT some last summer to do statistics of, like, we have the welcome video, we have a kind of a blurb about library information, and some, I can't remember what else we have. But we're trying to figure out how to do statistics on how many times they were visited, et cetera. So one good idea is to try to work with your IT of your LMS to see moving forward how you can, assess kind of the whole picture of that. Okay, so here I want to look at our references. We did a lot of research for this, for our services and programs in general, but we did a lot for this presentation. And all of the articles are very useful. There are a couple of books I felt that were really good. I think the Academic Library Services for Graduate Students, that was a very useful book. And there was another one I found, the book Transforming Libraries to Serve Graduate Schools, I would really recommend. We found those to be really helpful. So we didn't include our contact information. I'm sorry, we can put it in the chat if you would like, but if you have any questions, we'd be happy to answer any.
So there's one question and just a comment, Mary. The question from Roman is, does your business college offer only an MBA, or are there additional degrees such as MS or PhD?
We actually only offer Master of Science in the business programs. We have a Master of Science in the Global Logistics and Supply Chain Management, a Master of Science in, I think, Healthcare Administration, Strategic Human Resource Management, and there's also an MS in, I think it's Leadership Business Analytics. So, yeah, at this time, we're only in the business side, we're only offering Master of Science. I can't remember it's a Master of Arts and Religious Studies, but he has a business, so it's just a Master of Science.
Yeah, the MA in Religious Studies, and then we also have the graduate for Career Tech and Ed. Yeah.
And then Wendy just commented that she's on their grad curriculum committee, which is how they get heads up on upcoming programs as well as required resources for new courses. If it's listed as required, the library will purchase it, so instructors don't have to worry about whether we have it available. Same for us too.
Oh, they purchased the textbooks?
To an extent, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Any other comments? Questions?
Yeah, currently we don't purchase textbooks either. We don't for our library.
It is a good idea for graduate programs to, if possible, but due to the budget constraints, I'm not too sure.
Yeah. The other thing that Mary had mentioned as well in the program was about NAIL, and our NAIL group is a consortium of, it's Network of Alabama Academic Libraries, and the history is actually quite interesting. It was formed in 1984 specifically to correct deficiencies in graduate level library resources. So obviously we were not a member at that time. We joined later once they opened up membership to other libraries, but it's been really successful in helping get pricing down for databases. We also have a campus ship program, so all NAIL members, we ILL without charge to your budget. So that's been really helpful as well. There's a lot of reciprocal agreements. So that NAIL group has helped with ILL and database pricing and lots of other things. So more committees they work on as well with them.
While others are thinking of their questions, I just had to agree, to smile, like when Jennifer mentioned that graduate students don't always don't have the information skills, and I was just having a conversation with a faculty member and offering to do a class, and was just told they know everything. They know how to do research. So we don't need to spoon feed them. And I'm like, not really, they do.
Yeah, we've been trying to, since the pandemic and everything, we do have more students coming into the library, but all our graduate programs are online anyway, before the pandemic. So we're trying to do a lot of Zoom sessions, and those really, I like those a lot because you have the one-on-one time with the student, but when you have so many classes, it's hard to really, we promote it to a certain extent, but we can only promote it somewhat because if we wouldn't be able to handle that. But those are really, I've had a lot of success with the research consultations. And then you do realize they just, they need more preparation. They have a lot of our students work all day long. We have a lot of first generation students here. A lot of them have families and they just haven't been to school in a while, or they just don't know the basic, they do know the basic stuff, but yeah, they need help too.
Yeah, our research consultations are very successful because there's so many non-traditional students who haven't been in school for a long time.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments? Otherwise, we'll just thank the presenters and you'll get a little break before the next session.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. I guess we'll just take a break and then the next session is going to start at 2.